In this example, we're going to see how to find the exact values for sine of x, cosine of x, and tangent of x when you're given the value for cosine of 2x and you cannot solve for the angle. So we are going to use several trigonometric identities here. I will try to put them all step by step on this page. So we're going to start by determining which quadrant the angle x is in. That will help us identify whether our answers are positive or negative later on. So x is between 2 pi over 3 and 2 pi. That on the unit circle will correspond to quadrant 4. Now, we're also going to use this identity right here, sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. For now, I'm going to rewrite it with cosine on the left-hand side and everything else on the right-hand side, 1 minus sine squared x. We're going to need this in just a minute. Now, we're going to go ahead and go to what we have given. We're given that cosine of 2x is 2/3. So we're going to start with a double angle identity for cosine. This would be cosine of 2x equals cosine squared x minus sine squared x. Now, cosine of 2x has a value, it's 2 over 3. So instead of cosine of 2x, I'm going to write 2 over 3. Now we don't want two different trigonometric functions on the right-hand side. So I'm going to replace this cosine squared x with 1 minus sine squared x. So 1 minus sine squared x minus another sine squared x. We have 2/3 on the left-hand side, negative sine squared x, and another negative sine squared of x. We can use like terms here, 1 minus 2 sine squared x. Our goal is to solve for sine of x. So we're slowly going towards that goal. We're going to subtract 1 from both sides. So this is 2/3 minus 1 equals negative 2 sine squared x. 2/3 minus 1, 1 can be represented as 3/3. So this is just negative 1/3 equals negative 2 sine squared x. We're going to divide by negative 2, but it might be easier to remember that dividing by negative 2 is the same as multiplying by negative 1/2. So this is negative 1/3 times negative 1/2 equals sine squared x. So now negative times a negative, this positive. So this is 1 over 6 equals sine squared x. And then you're just going to take the square root of both sides to go ahead and get the value. So sine x equals square root of 1 over 6. We'll go ahead and simplify this. Square root of 1 is 1 on the top. Square root of 6 is just the square root of 6. Now, first of all, we're in quadrant 4, and sine values are negative in quadrant 4. So we need to add a negative sign in front of that answer. Second of all, this is not our final answer. We have to rationalize the denominator for it to be valid in mathematics. So go ahead and multiply top and bottom by the square root of 6 over the square root of 6. So this will be negative square root of 6 divided by 6. This is your final value for sine of x. Now, that's the final value for sine, but the value that I'm going to use in calculations is this value, the non-rationalized value, because it makes it a lot easier to do calculations for cosine and for tangent. So let's go ahead and switch to cosine. So we're going to use this for calculations. Okay, I'm going to go back to this formula right here. Sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. Sine of x, I just found. It's negative 1 over the square root of 6. That's the value I'm going to use for calculations. Negative 1 over the square root of 6. We have to square it because that's what the identity says. Plus cosine squared x equals 1. Now, when we square the -1 over the square root of 6, we're going to get 1 over 6 plus cosine squared x equals 1. So cosine squared x, subtract 1 over 6 from both sides. Since I'm going to have the common denominator, I'm going to represent 1 as 6 over 6 minus 1 over 6. So cosine squared x would be 5 divided by 6. Take the square root of both sides. You'll get cosine x equals the square root of 5 over 6, which is just the square root of 5 over the square root of 6. Now, to rationalize this one, you're going to multiply both sides, or both top and bottom rather, by the square root of 6 over the square root of 6. On the top, it'll be the square root of 30, and no, you cannot simplify that. And then on the bottom, it's just going to be 6. Now, remember the quadrant that we're in quadrant 4. Cosine values are positive in quadrant 4, so this would be your final answer for cosine of x. Now, that is the answer that I'm using as the final answer. The answer that I'm going to be using for calculations is this one. We still need to find tangent of x, and that's where my sine and cosine will come in handy. Tangent of x equals sine of x divided by cosine of x. Sine of x, we're taking the non-rationalized denominator here. -1 over the square root of 6 divided by cosine of x, which is square root of 30. Oops, I just said we're not going to rationalize this. So square root of 5 over the square root of 6. Then if you rewrite it as not division but multiplication, this is -1 over the square root of 6 times, and then flip the fraction on the bottom, square root of 6 over the square root of 5. The square root of 6 on the top and the square root of 6 on the bottom will cancel each other out. And what you're left with is -1 over the square root of 5. You do need to rationalize it. Multiply both top and bottom by the square root of 5 times the square root of 5. So this is negative square root of 5 over 5. So for tangent x, that would be your final answer.